Hands up. All right. All right, we'll call the town board meeting of Tuesday, January 27th, 26 to order at 6:30. And if everybody could rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Billy, if you could do a roll call, please.
Sir. Supervisor Henriksen. Here. Supervisor Olson.
Here.
Supervisor Cole.
Here.
Supervisor Ledke.
Here.
And for the record, Attorney Mark Allsites and Staff Member Alicia Morris.
Thank you, Billy. All right, public forum. Is anybody here for the public forum portion of the meeting? Yep, and if you want, come on up and just state your name. You'll have to sit up here so we can hear you. Just state your name and your address, please.
Where do you want me?
You can just sit down right there and pull that mic up for you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Julie Bryden and my husband Gordy and I live at 22827 West Martin Lake Drive. We're here tonight because we have serious concerns about the care of our roads in the wintertime. The big major snowfall that we had in December, we had to call the township because there were no snowplows going by. And we got one snowplow to come through our street. And that was only after we called the township and said that we have had no snow plowing. I have to say that since that time, I've never seen a snowplow on our road. So this winter I've seen one, and that was only after we called. Second major concern is the condition of the roads currently. Especially West Martin Lake Drive and 227th Street. There's a curve there. That is so icy that if you try to go down that street and go around the corner, you go sliding off. So that's a major concern. It seems like the corner right over here by the township where it comes on to 85th and what would it be, 227th, and then the next one down, 229th, maybe. Anyway, it brings you down to the township. That corner and that curve in the wintertime gets so icy that it is really dangerous to go anywhere. But it seems like there's never any chemicals, salt, whatever you need to use on a road to try to make those corners safer. And so those are our major concerns, and what we wanted to address to the township tonight is we're seriously concerned about the condition of the roads in the wintertime and how they're just not being taken care of.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
And I think we will be talking about this a little bit later in the agenda also.
Okay, great. Thank you so
very
much.
All right, anybody else want to speak? Seeing none, we'll close this portion. We'll close the public forum and we'll move on to the consideration and approval of the agenda. Is there any changes?
So what part of the agenda will we be discussing the roads?
So once we get to the consent agenda,
We'll
then
hold the
we'll
salt
pull that and put it in the regular agenda.
Got it. Okay. Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second? I'll second for discussion. Lisa?
Okay, I would just like to add something under new business, or I'd like to discuss adding about a sign for the recycling.
Okay, I'll rescind my motion to approve the
But
agenda.
we'll just amend it.
Or amend it to
Yeah.
add.
So we'll just add 7.4 for recycle sign. And is there any other changes to the agenda? Seeing none, if you want, you can accept the
Yes.
proposed amendment,
I'll accept the amendment.
and I'll also accept that. All right, so we added 7.4 for recycle sign. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Right, and the consent agenda. And I would like to pull 6.4, which is the salt and sand purchase, and move that under new business, so that can be 7.5. And is there any other changes to the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with that one modification.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right, new business, open supervisor appointment. I wanted to put this on the agenda. One of our supervisors that have been on the board for a long time resigned at the last meeting. And we didn't have an opportunity to get it on the agenda, so I wanted it on this one to have the board decide how we are going to move forward with that position. I'm assuming we're going to appoint for that position, so but I want to get direction from the board on what we would like to do and how we would like to do it.
So if we appoint, we're appointing until basically through the end of 2026, because starting in 2027, whoever wins the election in November will occupy that seat. So whoever we appoint will only be in this role for 8 months or so unless they win re-election.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's just to complete the rest of Supervisor Miller-Byrne's term, which ends the end of this year.
Right. So then a special election, I think, is totally out of the question. If it's only going to be for 8 months, that's not worth the expense to the township. So appointment, I think, is the only really reasonable option.
Okay. Any other comments, suggestions? So in the past, what we've done the last 2 times is we would have a period of time that people could submit their letters of interest. And then we would set up a meeting with those people, kind of an interview, and ask them a series of about 10 questions. And then we would immediately vote and choose somebody to appoint. I'm wondering, for the economy of time, is, since those are kind of generic questions, is if that's something that we shouldn't provide as part of the notice that we're intending to get letters of interest. And here's 10 questions. If you could fill them out and submit them as part of your letter of interest, because then we'd be able to go through those rather than sitting there for an hour and a half asking the same people the same question over and over again. We would get unique answers from each one.
So
Go ahead.
if I'm sorry to interrupt. If I'm understanding correctly, basically it would be like they would submit with their letter of interest their answers to these questions, and then on some timeline, either, I don't know, maybe the next meeting or the meeting after that, we would have time to, before that meeting, review people's answers. Individual supervisors would meet with whoever they want to meet with if they feel like that's necessary, and then we would just vote in this meeting.
Yeah, I think, so if we do that and we get the letters back and they've answered these questions, each supervisor, as always, can pick up the phone and call any of the candidates and ask them any questions that they want. What I would do is suggest that maybe before that next meeting then, as part of the work session, that we invite them in. And if there's any follow-up questions, or if there's anything that they would like to add, gives them an opportunity to address the board directly and vice versa. And that would be during a working session. And then we could then move forward with actually voting during the board meeting on an appointment.
Well, if we did that during the workshop, would that obstruct us from being able to vote on it on the meeting immediately preceding it?
So legally, no. According to our code of conduct, we would have to agree that we're going to sidestep that for this purpose, but otherwise, otherwise, if we don't do it that way, I guess we could do it as part of the meeting, but it's gonna lengthen out the meeting, or it would have to be a special meeting called, which we could do that also.
I think I prefer option of just having it be during the meeting. I think it's not ideal, but I think it's the best option.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I think one of the things that I think about as far as having it as part of a board meeting is, if we have 5 people that submitted letters of interest that are going to sit here on record for the next 7 years answering questions. And I don't know if that's an issue or not. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable.
On the other hand, that is the job.
It just happens here every other week, right?
So if that makes anybody uncomfortable, that might be in the wrong
Yep.
spot.
And I'm okay either way.
Okay.
I'm not nervous about anything. I just would like the board to decide that process that we're gonna go through so we can kick it off, get letters of interest in and appoint that position as soon as possible. Andy, do you have any thoughts?
I would just assume stick with precedent. You know, we can set a timeline to it, 30 days, and we do what we've done, and I like the idea of having the questions up front, supporting that, and just moving forward.
So as far as precedents, you mean like call a special meeting just specifically for
Yep, and being
the
able to,
discussion?
you know, that allows everyone to attend and understand what the candidates stand for.
Okay,
It's what we've done the last 2 times. So.
That's fine with me.
okay.
I like that idea. And I think the last time it was even videotaped to be on the Linwood page, if I remember right.
Hmm,
Does that happen?
I don't remember yours being videotaped.
If it was, I wasn't made aware of it.
All right. Okay,
Yeah, because we actually had that over in the senior center.
yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like we can get a similar letter draft. We've already got a letter that's been sent out for Sam's position and Andy's position actually before. So is everybody okay if we just update that and have the clerk
Yes.
send that out? Along with, and I can get you the 10 questions that we used or 8 or whatever it was. So you can submit that as part of it. Get that out. What kind of time frame do you want to give them to return their letters of interest?
I
We
think
have
it-
received one letter of interest already. So I think once this is established, I will send that out and give that person the opportunity to answer the questions also.
Yes, absolutely.
I think a shorter but reasonable time frame is,
Maybe by March, the first or second meeting in March.
yeah.
Me personally, usually a person knows that they're either interested in serving on the board or not.
Mhm.
I honestly, I wouldn't give more than by the next board meeting,
Yeah,
you know,
I
and,
agree.
and then, in fact, I don't even see why it couldn't be even earlier than that. And then we get a special meeting called, before the next board meeting.
I think before the next board meeting is a good amount of time. Somebody might be like on vacation. But I agree. I don't want to drag it on.
Yeah, I will be on vacation also,
Sure, good point.
Till when?
the 12th.
Yeah, if you put 2 weeks on it and we have a meeting on the 17th or our next meeting is the 24th, we're covering this within 30 days. I think
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
fast enough is what I would.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too crazy fast either, because then you might miss the advertising or
Mhm.
we're now scrambling to look at calendars and
Right.
people's vacations and whatnot.
But if
it's-
everybody goes out to the new website, linwoodtownshipmn.gov, and they sign up for notices,
They will get it.
they will get alerts
Yeah.
every time that we post something,
Should
so
get
they
a
would know
a
about it.
banner going on that one.
Yep, so I'm gonna say that as many times as we can. Okay, so deadline by the next meeting. That'll give and then we'll go ahead and schedule a time within the next 2 weeks after that to meet with them. That
Sounds
sound
good.
good? Okay. Excellent, thank you.
And then, Mr. Chair, if I can,
Yeah.
just on that topic, a few reminders. It was noted that the person would serve up through November. I think by somebody who said that it would be through January, technically elections in November, but the seat would stay until that person is actually sworn in come January if the appointee doesn't win the election or stand for election. The second thing would be your hands aren't tied to any one particular method, and you don't actually have to make the appointment. Let's say you see all the appointees and you say at this point, you know, we don't want to appoint, you're not forced to or required to. It is something that is completely up to the discretion of the board. And the last thing I would say is actually, it's not up to the discretion of the board, it's up to the discretion of the appointing committee, the appointment committee, which would also include Ms. Larson, given the vacancy. So by statute, Ms. Larson will have say also in who that individual will be.
Thank you, Mark. All right. All right, so I'll work with Billy and we'll get that stuff when I'm over here. We'll get through that tomorrow. All right. So that's 7.1. 7.2, Linwood Township Fun Fest, MOU and request. And who's speaking to this? Any idea who put this on the agenda?
Let's see.
This was submitted by Nancy Kramer.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience to speak to this? SE? I don't know. Mickey Mouse?
Memorandum of understanding, probably.
Thank you.
So I guess I can jump in just from what the only thing I had on this was I'm in full support of it. I think it worked well for the town last year to not be involved in all the checks and cutting all that stuff and having to deal with the government side of a fun family event. The only thing, and we can come back for further request of it. I would motion we accept it at the amount of $23,000. Only because the townspeople set the celebration amount at the annual meeting. And that also included an amount for the Halloween party and Easter party and the other events that we have. And I don't want to cut into those with an over allotment. So.
Yeah.
And typically that's what it's been is that 23K. So we could definitely reevaluate it later or whatever it might be, but that was the number that I had based on speaking with staff on what's needed in reserves for the other events.
So this didn't need a decision. This is just informational then.
It does to be able to cut a check is from my eyes. So I think there's, other things that we probably need to clear up on the packet side, but if there's no other questions, I'd make a motion to approve the MOU with the amount of, between Linwood Township and Linwood Fire Association in the amount of $23,000.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Great. Thanks for filling in there, Andy. All right, move on to 7.3, job descriptions and media specialist position.
Okay, so because we talked about job descriptions in the workshop, this will actually only be about the layoff of the media specialist. Before we begin, I was in communication with the current media specialist who would like to speak to this issue. However, she is stuck at home with family that she needs to take care of. Under this RFA, it is mentioned that audience input is permitted. So were she here in person, she would be permitted to speak. However, audience input being permitted does not typically mean that we will extend a Zoom link invitation to anybody who asks for it. So I wanted to make a motion to the board so the board can decide. I'd like to make a motion to provide the current media specialist, Natalie, with a Zoom link so that she can attend and provide some input on this issue.
Motion? Your second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? I agree. I think that any employee should be due the respect to be able to give input. So, all right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
So we'll send her that link. I will get this started. It's gonna be, take no joy in this kind of decision making.
Yeah.
Just for a
Supervisor Lucky.
procedural thing, I guess I'd make a motion that we recess for 5 minutes if we gotta logistically get this, because we gotta leave while we pause what we got to get that out.
Sure, I'll second that.
All right. We will be in recess to give enough time to get, you figure 5 minutes?
Yeah, most.
All right, we don't need a motion to go in recess, do we? Can I just put it in recess for 5 minutes? All right, let's put this, we'll put the meeting in recess for 5 minutes. We'll come back at 6:56. All right, we'll come out of recess and resume the regular board meeting at 6:56. All right, and Sam, did you want to continue
Introduce
to
the
lead?
topic.
Sure.
So, once again, difficult conversation. This is not going to be, I take no pleasure in bringing this to the board. Obviously, this impacts people. I'll just read what I've prepared. In the months since we switched over to Town Web as the new website provider, it's become increasingly clear that there's no longer an operational need for this media specialist position. We've been reviewing the job duties of the media specialist role with the media specialist and Abdo, trying to figure out, redefine, figure out what it's going to do. There's been questions of when we're going to train the new media specialist on Town Web. And it's been becoming increasingly clear that there's just no longer a need for this role. And it wouldn't be a responsible use, especially given the budgetary state of the township, wouldn't be a responsible use of public dollars for the township to continue with having a media specialist role. So this discussion is going to be about eliminating this role. I'd like to keep the discussion limited to the position itself and not the person who has that position. With that, I open it up for discussion.
Comments, questions? Is Natalie with us?
I'm here.
Natalie, did you want to say anything before we continue discussion? You don't have to if you don't want to. I just wanted to be respectful and offer.
I guess my one question, would be regarding just your determination, Sam, of not being necessary to have the media specialist just for the website or the entire role, because my role didn't just encompass the website.
The entire role.
Okay.
And I can expand on that.
Only if she needs to. You okay with that, Natalie?
I would like a expansion, explanation.
Sure. So I think I'll start with the website part because that's a little more self-explanatory, which is that Town Web provides the services that the media specialist has previously provided for the township. They provide those services at no additional cost beyond what we pay for them hosting our website. For the rest of the role, there is not enough work to justify the overhead of keeping an employee, even a part-time employee, to fulfill those roles, such as newsletter, creating graphics. That is work that can be handled by office staff.
All right, thank you,
Okay.
Sam.
Is
All
me
right.
especially part of
Any other discussion?
Not from me. Not from me. Maybe just after the vote, though.
All right, thank you, Natalie. And thank you for being here too. Appreciate it.
Thank you for allowing me.
Okay. Board action to be taken. Is there a motion?
So this resolution, Mark, does it have a number?
It would be O2, and before we move anything directly on the resolution before you contemplates two things. One is an elimination of the job class, and two is designating the clerk to provide notice to any affected employees or employee. There was possible contemplation in the RFA with respect to unemployment insurance, or if severance would be included. If the board is so inclined to approve any unemployment insurance claim in advance, or to provide any form of severance, I would want to include it here in this resolution as well. I do have a copy of it on my laptop and can draft it, so I would put that out there for the board's consideration if the board wants to make any additional motions. Otherwise, the resolution could be approved as is. We would just need to deal with the issues of unemployment insurance claims if they arise and as they arise, and then also would separately address severance if the board is so inclined to contemplate that.
All right, thank you, Mark. And I think this would be resolution 03, right?
02.
Thought we did two that same night.
We did an ordinance and a resolution.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
02. I make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-02, a resolution eliminating the media specialist job class due to organizational and budgetary need.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion's been made, seconded, discussion, Lisa?
So would the discussion be done now for her to allow for unemployment, or would that be after this?
It should be part of the resolution, as you were saying, right?
Okay.
Yep.
I would like to make a resolution that she is allowed to collect unemployment or file for unemployment.
So would I amend my motion?
Yeah, let's finish the discussion first.
Okay.
You know, as our attorney also mentioned, you know, another thing that can be considered by the board is severance.
Yes.
I would also like to add in, severance.
Yes.
I think the question is going to be, how many weeks? In my history, in managing departments is typically at 6 weeks of severance and then not dispute the unemployment benefits. But I think that would have to be drafted in an agreement between the township and the employee
Yeah.
before that's paid out.
Yeah. So it'd be just the severance instead of, or both?
Usually it's both.
Okay.
Yeah, usually it's
I'm not
both.
sure you can fully waive unemployment insurance entitlements.
Yeah.
I would have to look into it, but I don't believe that can be waived as part of an agreement.
Okay, I'll just say as a supervisor, my intent is, if unemployment is, sought, I'm not going to dispute that myself. I'm
Yeah.
Agreed.
one voice of four right now, but that's how I feel about it. Yes.
And that's,
Andy?
on that statement, that's my sentiment as well, but that would be another process we'd still have to take action on,
Yes.
should it come before the board. So it's not, at this point, I don't see. I don't know how you term that or what we're trying to put into this. To me, you take the one action we can take and then address that when it comes.
Yeah, that is, I would be perfectly fine with that, as well as deal with the unemployment insurance claims that comes in through the state and then handle that. For the issue of severance, one thing that I would recommend, this is a part-time position. And the hours worked may change while the pay rate is likely fixed. And so one thing that I would advise is I tried to come up with some language here that would approve a discretionary severance payment equivalent to however many weeks you want at the employee's current rate based on the average number of part-time hours worked over the preceding 8 weeks. So that way we can get an average based on the last 8 weeks, how much has been worked. We take that average and then multiply that by the wage, or just, pay it out over the next 6 weeks at that that many hours per week. I guess that's clear.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. I'll leave it up to you and Lisa. It might be easier to rescind and restate the motion.
I'll rescind the motion.
Lisa, you,
Yep.
okay.
Understand.
That was my. I think
Oh,
she
was
had-
that your
yeah, it was
second?
my
Okay.
second.
Okay.
She had, so
Thank
I'll
you.
rescind my second.
Okay.
Okay.
New motion is to adopt resolution 2026-02, approve this resolution of eliminating the media specialist job class due to organizational and budgetary need with an amendment to it or I guess this wouldn't be an amendment to, I'm gonna do my best. With an additional, not an amendment to the resolution, but with an additional part of this motion to also direct Attorney Allsites to work out the language of a severance agreement with the existing media specialist, which will pay out 6 weeks of severance based on an average of the previous 8 weeks hours work. So that many hours per week for 6 weeks would be the payment of the severance.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Andy?
I was trying to catch this. Do we want the effective date in this prior, or is that what's going to be added in? Because where did it start?
That's the last thing to consider is effective date of when you all would like to go into effect. It's at the board's discretion. It is currently left blank. I'm happy to fill it in, and Ms. Larson could run one final copy where that is fixed.
Can I
Go ahead.
add it? Can I add a comment during this?
Yes, I'll go ahead and permit that, Natalie.
So can I ask that it be reevaluated for the average hours? If you guys are allowing severance, for the last 4 weeks, I was denied work. So those hours are severely diminished from what I would normally have.
Could I add to this? It may be simpler to, I believe in her employment agreement, it says that she is on staff for 10 to 12 hours is the intention. So I would, to make it simple, 12 hours per week for 6 weeks.
So amend your original motion to include,
Yes, amend my
That would
original
be-
motion to make this effective immediately, for one. Also amend it to amend the severance agreement to 6 weeks at 12 hours a week.
Thank you, Sam.
Did
And
you
I
second that,
accept
right?
that amendment.
Okay. All right. Do we need language in this, also, Mark, to, that this is payable upon, severance agreement?
One more time, I'm sorry.
So, that the payment of severance is, due upon an agreement between the township and the employee of the separation and severance?
Yes, I'll draft that language in here.
Okay. All right. All right, so that language will go into the resolution. All right,
Okay.
everybody square? Everybody understand?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Billy, are you okay with the motion? Okay, wonderful. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you for your
And-
time at the township, Natalie.
Thank you for,
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I also just say, I want to extend my sincere thanks to the board members that I've had the privilege of working with over the years. Your leadership, trust, and commitment to thoughtful governance allowed me to do meaningful work in the service of the community. The professionalism and collaboration that define that period are what I remain proud of, and they reflect the standard under which the work was done. Those years set expectations and practices that I will continue to carry forward. Thank you for the opportunity and the confidence you placed in me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, you've
Here.
done a lot of really good things for the township. The newsletters would have probably never happened if you hadn't dedicated the time to putting those together. So really appreciate everything you've done for the township. It won't be forgotten.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so that portion is done. And thank you for getting through that. I know this was very difficult for all of us. All right. We'll move on to 7.4, recycle sign.
right, so a lot of people that have been coming back there, so we have a sandwich sign that we use in the summertime. But I've had several customers come back there and they had difficulty finding the recycling. They've had to stop into the office a few times to get directions where to go. So it's unclear on where the reuse store is. So just to help promote that, I would like to get a street sign put up, to maybe a double pole one to where it's big enough for people to see, the arrow pointing in the back. Just think it would help a little bit.
Andy?
Yeah, you're just talking more of an actual like public works type sign that's
Yeah.
permanent, not yeah, absolutely. We can come up with something.
I picture there's such a void out there between the oak tree and the north line to put something decent there.
How
so
much
people
do
know.
signs cost?
I don't know, that's what we'll have to do here.
So-
is I think the board will give a consensus to move forward with it, and then we'll have to get some somebody will have to drop what we want it to look like.
Hmm.
And then work with somebody to come back with a bid, maybe get a couple quotes on doing the sign. And then get that approved. But I agree with you. One thing to support that was NOCA when they've done their fix-it programs. That's one of the reasons why they hesitated having it in one of the buildings back there, was because it's difficult to give directions and get people to know that they have to drive around the building to get back there.
Well, and a
So,
lot of times, I think the one time they came in the back, it brings you, Google will bring you to the back gate. So I don't know if there's a way to correct that or.
no, how does everybody feel? Everybody okay with moving forward with, getting some quotes on a sign?
We'll figure something out.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Who wants to lead that? Because if we don't get a name on it,
I
are you
can.
gonna lead it? Okay. Lisa's got the lead on that one. All right. Thank you for that. We'll move on to 7.5, which actually used to be 6.4, sand and salt purchase. I wanted to move it, into the actual agenda so that we could talk through it a little bit. There is an RFA that I put together that's in the packet. I'll kind of start with that, which is, there's a road salt shortage right now. It's getting hard to get salt. They are trucking it up from Kentucky and from Texas. But the rates are obviously much higher than when we normally order salt. And it is still, I mean, there's a lot of municipalities fighting for it. So it's been a little bit more difficult. What we did was we are running, lower on salt. One of the problems that we have with salt is that normally in the past, we only have a shed that can hold so much salt. And so we fill it. We order everything that we can to fill it. Every year that I've been here, which is 3 years, we always run out of salt. And we always end up borrowing salt from Anoka County. They usually ship up, like 4 dump truck fulls for us, and then we have to repay them back. This year, because of the salt shortage, we talked to Anoka and they said, yeah, probably not. But if you want, when you run out, check with us and see where we stand, but not very promising. So what we have, unless we want to pay a larger premium for salt, is what we have to get through the winter with. The salt, just a couple things for the board to understand in case you are being asked questions, is currently we do not have treated salt. It's regular rock salt. Rock salt will not melt ice if it's below 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So if we apply it when it's above 15, it'll actually melt the salt and then you get cleaner roads. When it's below 15 degrees, what happens if we drop salt? It typically bounces off or the traffic that goes back and forth blows it off into the ditches. So what you end up doing is salting your ditches and doing very little, if anything, for your ice. So that's one of the difficult problems. One of the things that we'll be talking about on February 3rd when we meet with Road and Bridge is whether we should be getting some treated salt. Treated salt would allow us to put salt down to 15 below zero and still get it to melt ice. So it's going to cost a little bit more, but it gives us that range that we can't get into right now for melting the ice. Once you get below that, there are some things that can be done, but they are way more expensive. And then you can only get about 8 more degrees out of it before you're done. So there's a certain point in which you're not melting ice. Salt sand. Salt sand, just so you all understand, is it's sand that has 10% salt in it. And the only reason it has any salt in it at all is to keep the sand from freezing into a big block of sand. So it's enough to keep it to where we can spread it. We typically would use salt sand on gravel roads because it leaves a residue. In 2022, they used some rock chip and they put it on some gravel or on some blacktop roads, and we had lots of complaints that next spring and had to pay another $6,000-8,000 to have company go out and street sweep and pick all that stuff up. So we want to be a little bit cautious on where we use it. But if we have to use it on gravel or on asphalt roads, we will. Same thing though. It will not necessarily, it won't melt anything. What it does is it gives you a little bit of a sandpaper type surface. So it gives you a little bit of grip. We did order salt sand, if you remember right. We ordered it about 3 weeks ago and we got quite a bit of it out onto the gravel roads and a few asphalt roads that needed it at the time. But we went through probably 2/3 of what we had brought in, and that was 3 dump truck fulls. So, and that cost us, almost $2,200. So, I did check, they do have some, the price has gone up a little bit again now for the salt sand. But I did check, and we can get some and delivered in here. So, I don't know, again, weather is unpredictable. What was tough about this year is that, you know, you usually have at that point where you're at freezing point, you have that freeze thaw. So usually as the temps in the fall are coming through there, we end up putting down a lot of salt. And then usually it's not so bad during the middle of the winter, but then in the spring, it'll come back and we'll have a lot of those freeze thaw days and nights, and we end up applying more. This year was different because we had 3 weeks of freeze thaw. We also had, you know, multiple episodes of freezing rain and drizzle, and that's what just kept slicking the roads. If you check with other municipalities, and part of the reason there's a salt shortage is because everybody's blown through all their salt in the first couple of weeks of the winter. And now everybody is depleted and they're begging, and that's why it's being trucked all the way up from Kentucky and Texas. So the board has a couple options here, just so you know, that's kind of the background behind what's going on and why we're having some difficulty. We have one other issue, which is because of budgetary constraints, we had decided not to fill one of the public works positions and use backup plow drivers and people to salt. And, you know, our backups have regular jobs, so they're limited on how many hours or when they can put stuff down. And then we've got one public works employee. So we've been trying to get out as much as we can, but we have limited human resources to be able to hit all the roads. And I mean, when you salt or sand, you have to drive slow. If you don't, you just drop everything and it goes off into the ditch. It takes one guy about 3 days to go through and cover our roads. So even when people complain and say, hey, my roads are getting slippery, and hey, why didn't you show up? It's not that we're not out on the roads. It just takes that long to get through the whole cycle of 56 miles of roads. So the board has a couple choices. I talked to a gentleman yesterday that lives in Linwood Township and said that he'd be happy to bring a load of salt. It's $180 a ton. Normally we would pay about $120 a ton. So it's not ridiculously overpriced, but it's higher than what we normally do. But if we get it in, we're going to pay, you know, a lot of money for that salt. The other option is to do salt sand. And we knowingly that we may have to put it on asphalt roads. Not the end of the world, but it's an option. That's a lot cheaper. And it brings it down to, instead of being about $2,900 for a dump truck load like the salt, it brings it down to, the last time we paid was $720, and it may have gone up a little bit now. They didn't get back to me with the final number, but that's what we paid here a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago. So we can get a lot more salt sand for our dollar than we can ice or the salt. The last thing is, the guy did give us another option, which is to buy lime chips, which I personally had not heard of before. And all the state classes that I've gone through for salting,
Wisconsin uses.
I don't know. I think what it is desperate times call for desperate measures. And I think that they are resorting to lime chips because they know that it'll at least give some grip, and people are desperate. So I think some people are going with it. Again, I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that it does dissolve. And my concern is since I don't know anything about it, and I've never heard of this through Sunrise Watershed when we're trying to figure out our salt, you know, trying to keep salt from contaminating the lakes and stuff. I have no idea what the effects of this lime would be if we started using that and it's melting, it's running in the streams and the lakes. I have no idea what the end result would be. So I'm a little worried about making a decision to do something to our community that we don't understand what the ramifications are. So that would be cheaper, more in the $50 to $70 per ton range. But again, I don't know if the risk is worth it. So that's what's going on with the roads, why they're icy. You know, we're trying to do the best we can with the resources we have and the money we have. This request for action tonight was to approve up to $4,000 and purchasing as much salt sand as we can for $4,000 here this time. I think anything more than that, I don't think we're gonna have room in our salt shed. So it doesn't make sense to have it sitting outside. So I think $4,000 for right now, and if we need more, then we go back and we hope that they have more at that point.
So if, when it's swept up in the springtime, can we reuse that sand salt then again for next year or not?
Nope,
Okay.
nope, nope. It's just when we've had it picked up before, it gets hauled away. And the contractor hauled it away. I don't know what they
Okay.
do with it, but they hauled it away. Yeah. Yeah, Sam.
Two questions. One, there's an exception for supervisors when they purchase stuff outside of a board meeting, when it has to do with public safety, right? Is that true?
The ability to purchase outside of a board meeting or a board approval is for anything. It has nothing to do with public safety.
I
We
mean,
don't-
exceeding the limit.
we don't have anything in there other than there's a limit of 1,000 per supervisor, 2,500 per two.
So I'd like to, have you already made your motion?
No, I haven't.
okay.
No,
I'd like to make a motion that for this winter, John Olson be given authority to exceed that individual supervisor limit when it comes to purchasing salt or salt sand or anything to address ice on roads.
okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Yeah, I would change instead of having a specific name, I'd say
Sure,
whoever
any
the road supervisor is.
That's what I was gonna say. And we already have two in Public Works. I just soon keep communications going too. So there's.
Right.
Yeah, you're the other.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, so so then I'll amend the motion, either salt supervisor, either road and bridge supervisor to exceed the restrictions on how much money supervisors can spend outside of a meeting when it comes to salt or salt sand for roads this winter.
You accept the amendment?
I accept it.
All right. All right, everybody understand the motion?
Mine was gonna be in coordination, because we don't want one person spending 10,000 and another person spending 10,000 and not talking. So
Okay.
I want. to
I'll
make
amend
sure
it one more time.
By two supervisors involved, the two supervisors work it out.
I'll amend it together. I'll amend it. The two road and bridge supervisors can together, if they both agree, exceed the supervisor spending limit this winter if they are purchasing salt or salt sand for icy roads.
Within the budget. I mean, there's also that, I get. Making
Well,
sure that we have to understand the public works budget.
That comes into my second question. I could, if you want, I can rescind my motion and ask my second question first.
Just trying
Okay, so you've
I
made it.
accept the amendment.
So now we have the new, Billy, are you okay over there?
Sorry, I'm
No, that's
sorry.
okay. Making you earn your money tonight. Okay, go ahead.
With what?
Well, I thought you were gonna say.
With my
something else.
question?
Yes.
Okay. My question was going to be, what's the budget like right now for our salt for the winter?
Well, we're into 2026, so our budget is pretty clean.
Okay, like, is it looking like we're going to exceed it?
We spend within the budget, but we have budgeting for the materials accurate to what we normally do. That will also be part of what we discuss on February 3rd, is if we want to change that.
Got it.
Whether we should add a salt shed, because right now we're finding that when we're dependent on other municipalities and everybody's running short, they're not looking out for our best interest. We have to survive on our own.
Mhm.
Part of that is going to be a discussion as to whether we should add on to our salt shed so that we can be self-reliant and we're not dependent on anything else.
Okay, is there a motion on the floor or?
Yes, this is in discussion right
Okay.
now.
So then in response to the budget, I would say I would not want to amend any restrictions on the budget. I think if we have to go over the budget, we have to go over the budget. But I would be cognizant of where we are at with our budget. And we would always come back to the board with whatever we purchased. And if we go over the budget, we'll bring that up for sure.
Oh, absolutely. My point to it was to make sure we need to treat what we need to treat. February 3rd is an operational talk and snow removal overall and understanding exactly that. My question then is, when we pre-bought, we received, how much of our tonnage have we received all of our tonnage? that or we still have some that we truly cannot get because we don't have room for it.
My understanding, and I could be wrong, I didn't check on that. My understanding is that we got everything that we ordered, because typically what happens is when we run out of what's in the salt shed, we call Anoka. Anoka brings up, let's say, 4 dump truck fulls. What we have to do is add on to our order in the spring, an extra 4 dump truck loads that then gets delivered back down to Anoka. That's how we repay them back, is with product. That tells me that we've gotten what we're gonna get. Now, I do know and understand that when we ordered through the salt company, we lock in at a certain price. So that was locked in last spring at a very reasonable price. And so we could turn around and put in a salt order, but from what I'm hearing from the other municipalities that have worked with that company, they're saying, got no salt for you. If you want salt, you'll have to get it someplace else and pay the higher price. Doesn't mean we can't go back and make the request. But since the going rate for salt is, upwards of 2 to 4 times the normal cost, probably not gonna want to give it to us for a loss. Yeah. But I will check. I'll double check on that, just make sure that we've gotten our entire allotment. Very good question. All right. So there's a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries 4-0.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you. And hopefully that helped, doesn't fix your problem, but hopefully it helped explain some of it. If you come up here, absolutely you can. If you can just give us your name real quick again.
Okay. Julie Bryden again. Do you need the address again?
No,
too?
we
Okay.
got that already.
Here's my concern. I understand the issues and so forth. You're down a plow person. Are you still down?
Mhm.
Okay. So how many plows do we have? How many drivers
We have
currently?
1 driver and 2 plow trucks.
1 driver and 2 dump trucks. Okay. This person, when they start, there's a big snowstorm, right? And they start their route and they go. Now, when their time is up and they go home, but everybody hasn't been plowed, is it continued? Does the person come in the next day or say, okay, I want overtime? Or how are the rest of the people? Because like I'm saying, we didn't get plowed. So, well, until we called. So what does the plow person do? Do they come in and continue where they left off and finish the route? Or if there's another snowstorm, do they start the route the same way so the same people are not getting plowed? I'm not quite sure how that goes. And then is there a list, or can there be a list of problem areas so that when these ice areas start, that they could be addressed first so that someone can go out there and treat these areas that we know? Because like that one corner, we missed somebody just by a few feet because she was sliding this way, we were sliding this way. We knew it was a bad corner, so we were cautious and we were slow, but not everybody might be that cautious. So can there be a list like of problem areas so that when they do go out to treat, that these problem areas get addressed? And do you need input from the public as to where the problem areas are, or how is that determined?
Where you live, is there a lot of tree cover over the road?
Tree cover over
In other
the
words,
road.
is there a lot of shade on the road? See, and that's every single road that has a large amount of shade throughout the day is a problem road. We know that already. Every shaded road will get ice and hold ice way longer than the ones that are exposed to the sun. So to have a list would be the list of every road that has shade on it. So we are aware of that. To answer the other part of your question is that yes, our plow driver goes out and has a state limit how many hours that he can plow. But we also have backup plow drivers, and thank goodness that we got firemen and we've got 1 other person in our community that has stepped up to be backup plow drivers. They typically, again, it's your best plow drivers are the guys that have experience with these big plows, right? So they also have those jobs where they're plowing. So when we need plow drivers, the backup plow drivers are sometimes taking care of their normal jobs because they're plowing for someplace in the cities or wherever it might be. So we get them after the fact. So you'll find that supervisors also have gotten in the smaller trucks and ran 13, 15 hours straight also trying to keep the roads open. So there will be a lot more information will be coming out pretty soon on what our methods are and what our thoughts are behind maintenance on the roads and the plowing and stuff like that. So everybody will get a little bit better understanding of why we do things, when we do things, and what the conditions are. That's part of what we're trying to work towards, and that's why we have this meeting on February 3rd with Road and Bridge, just kind of go through some of these options. But we know that we've got an issue where we have got to to get this ice stuff figured out for this year. This is not a typical year. We typically do not have freezing rain this much and so many freeze thaws. So it's difficult. Once we get the sand in, we'll be able to do a lot better job trying to keep up with the roads. Still not going to be perfect. Can't do every road at the same time, but we definitely get through them.
So they do know then which roads have not been plowed or didn't get plowed. And they can kind
Yeah.
of start there.
Yeah, we have maps. So is it perfect? No. Do we always communicate what roads we did and didn't do? And this year it's been difficult because the backup plow drivers having that communication. Typically the way it worked was when we had two public works employees is we split it, and there was one that would go to the north half, one would to the south half. It was consistent every single time. They knew every road. They had a route that they ran, and they ran it every single time. So it was consistent. If it was a massive storm, it's possible that they might not have gotten through the last road, but after they've gotten their 8 hours off, they would come back and they'd pick up where they left off and finish their route. This last year, actually, it's been a couple of years that we've been running with only one full-time public works employee. Last year wasn't so bad because we didn't have the same kind of weather patterns that we've had this year. So we've been able to get out, take care of the roads a little bit quicker, even though we had more snow last year. So, like I said, it's hard, and I get it. I drive these icy roads too. My road is blacktop and full of ice as well. So I get what everybody is talking about. But we'll try to get the salt sand in and see what we can do. Right now, we will go back out and hit blacktop roads and get the new ice that's formed on there off, but we can't do it until the temps get to 15 degrees. And right now they're talking about getting into that vicinity here this weekend. So if the weather holds and we get decent weather by next week, we'll then be out salting the blacktop roads again.
But it's mainly these intersections. I know there are roads that are icy, but it's these curves and these intersections when you go to do a curve or you go to stop. And you just
Yeah, yep.
are the
Yeah,
main concerns.
we'll see if we can take care of it.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Sam?
I'm gonna ask a potentially dumb question, but do we have any sort of like really easy warning signs that almost like a safety code that we could put up in areas where before it gets to 15 degrees, just to let people know, hopefully that this is slick and dangerous and to be careful?
We don't have any signs like that.
Okay.
But if we did, I think we would spend more time putting signs up than we would salting the roads. If I have salted by the time we got the signs out.
Fair. Okay.
But no, like I said, we did get out. Salt sand worked really good when we used it this last time, and that was just before the temps dropped. And so
Okay.
we're just weather dependent. As soon as we get some warmer weather, we'll get the stuff down. We'll try to get out and check some of these intersections. And if we've got some bad ones, we'll try to get some salt or some sand down on them. So appreciate you letting us know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Right. All right. We did vote on that, right, Billy? Voted. Okay, thank you. All right.
I don't think did we vote on the original RFA that you had? I thought we were in discussion for that.
Okay, well, good point. So let's go back to that real quick. So my question is if your motion passed,
Right.
then we don't have to ask for permission from the board to spend $4,000.
True, but I suppose since we're here already, may as well.
Okay. What if we want to go over it now?
Either way, I'm fine.
All right, just to make sure it's on there, I'll make a motion that we approve the expenditure of up to $4,000 for the purchase of salt sand material from Borkland.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
This way we don't have to
You're
come
right.
back. Then we don't
You're
have to
right.
come back and notify him,
Yeah, you're right.
less paperwork.
Good catch. Oh, okay.
Handle that whenever.
All right, 7-5 done. Okay, let's go on to old business. Oh, that was a short one. It was at the end of the page. All right. And, okay, so this is the resolution, 2026-02. We already took action on this?
Already approved. It just needs to be signed by chair and clerk. I included additional language in there that severance would be payable upon reaching a mutually agreeable severance agreement between employees affected by the layoff and the township.
Awesome. You're
So
awesome,
is-
Mark, thanks.
Is that gonna require another vote or is that something that we can work out in between meetings?
I think in your motion, you had said, to have the attorney add in the language,
Right.
which is what he did.
Okay.
But for the language of the agreement too, I think your motion is sufficient to allow the attorney to draft that. And
Okay.
I'll get to Ms. Larson for her to then get out to the affected employee.
Okay. Everybody okay with that? Okay.
Yep, oh, good question. All right, upcoming meetings, planning and zoning is February 17th at 6 o'clock. Local government officials meeting is January 28th at 6 o'clock. That would be down at the Bunker Lake Hills location. Monthly town board workshop will be with the Road and Bridge Committee on February 3rd at 5:30 right here. And it's probably going to be a pretty long workshop, so be prepared for it.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
So the February 3rd is also the caucus. So, and both parties will be in the same building, the Andover High School. And I believe it starts at I think 6 o'clock. I'm not sure on that. I will post something on the Facebook later.
Okay. All right. And then, did we confirm that Parks is rescheduled for next Monday?
Yes.
Okay, so Parks will be next Monday. I don't know what the date is because the calendar won't pull up here. Next Monday, Parks, second, thank you. So February 2nd will be the Parks meeting. It was rescheduled from this last Monday, from yesterday. So that'll be next Monday. And then the next regular board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 3rd, 6:30 right here. Supervisor Ledke.
Just on that, school forest will be in the seniors because of that reschedule. We now are double booked, so school forest will be in the senior center.
Okay,
Parks will be here.
great. Okay, for next Monday. Lloyd, did you want to step up and add something? No, you gotta, otherwise people that are on the recording can't hear. Who are you and where do you live?
For the next regular board meeting,
Name and address first, please.
what?
Name and address first, please, for the record.
Lloyd Horton, 6157 240th Avenue Northeast.
Okay, thank you.
And says the next regular board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 3rd. Did we change
Wait.
the timing?
Second Tuesday in February.
It's a 10th.
Yeah, the 3rd is a workshop.
So it's the 10th
Yes.
as normal? That's
Good
all.
catch, Lloyd. Thank you. All right. That is the 3rd is the Road and Bridge workshop. The 10th is the next board meeting. You want to come up, Tony?
Tony D, Typo Creek. I see somebody else ding the garage doors, especially behind truck number 3. Somebody own up to that?
First time hearing of it.
I can show you pictures if you want.
We'll take a look at it.
Back in, I believe it was 98 or 99, winter just like this, icy. We were called, that's when we were fire station on the other end. We were called in to a call. Two guys come into the parking lot. Now they just came from whatever direction. The roads were fairly decent. When they hit the parking lot, it was a skating rink. Both of them ended up against the building. Both of them had to go to their car insurance to pay for the damage. So who's paying for the damage of all this stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll check into it. Like I said, I hadn't heard anything about it until now. But a very good point. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, well, it's irritating when people say, oh, that was there when I got here.
Yeah,
That's what's irritating.
yep. No, we'll check into it. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, anything else to come before the board?
Chair, moment,
Yes.
just for
Councilor
clarity,
Luckey.
when I was setting up there, I was to abstain from consent agenda, so I want to correct that and get that on record. Cause you moved the one thing, the sand salt and agreement of that, but I am abstaining from consent agenda. I don't know how to correct that.
I think it can just be noted, it was still unanimous for the remaining non-abstaining supervisors. So Billy, just correct that it's 3-0. Thanks for the clarification.
And not one abstention then, just 3-0.
3-0 with one abstention.
All right. Got that corrected. Anything else to come before the board? Seeing none?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Key Cole. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:43.